Want the 6 steps to retire early and become a millionaire? That's exactly what Jim White with RouteToRetire.com did. And seriously, his 6 steps are so simple. It really proves that we do not need to complicate money in order to build our wealth. I am Tiffany Thomas with WealthyTiffany.com, and I achieved financial freedom and became a millionaire. If you're looking to do those things as well, hit that like button and hit the subscribe button, and we're going to dive right in. All right, let's talk about these really simple 6 steps that Jim took to become a millionaire and retire at age 43. The first thing that he did was actually to start looking at his money. What a concept. There are so many people that avoid looking at their money just because they don't actually want to know how much debt they have. And it's a really scary thing when you are not looking at your money situation. So you really need to begin with looking where you're at with your finances. One of the ways that he did this was by using some really easy software, like using Personal Capital, which I also use because it really does make a big difference if you can see your full financial picture in one place. And you can do that with Personal Capital very simply because you can hook all of your financial accounts to it. So all of your checking, your savings, all of your credit cards, your Roth IRA, a 401k, any financial account that you have, and then you can see that in one place. You can see all of the income that is coming in and all of the expenses and any subscriptions that you may have forgotten about. And you can also set up a budget within Personal Capital, so you don't have to have a separate spreadsheet to manage all of your finances. You can do it electronically if you want to. So if you were looking for something really easy to help you manage your money, I will leave a referral link below. You can set up a free account with Personal Capital. He said by using one of these apps, and he even uses Quicken, that it really changed the way that he viewed his money. And eventually he realized that he had a lot of consumer debt. He said, I started adding all of my accounts, and then seeing everything in just one place opened my eyes completely. This was the first time I actually saw how much debt I was in, and I was blown away. So by using this type of software, he could really see his full financial picture in one place, which was great because then he had a starting point, and that way he could start to improve his money situation. Step number 2, he paid off his consumer debt. Once he had a full view of his financial picture and realized that he actually had $30,000 worth of debt that was just consumer debt, things spent on non-essentials, he realized he needed to pay that off as quickly as possible. And eventually he was able to pay that off within just a few years. So it really goes to show once you know where you are with your finances and you set a certain financial goal, that you can actually achieve that goal because you are working toward it. And it's something that you want to accomplish. It took him a few years to pay off his consumer debt, and then he wanted to work on paying off his car. And he said his experience with debt made him look at money differently. He says when you are in debt, you lose out twice. First, you're wasting a portion of your money every month to pay it back. The second is that money could have been put into savings or investments, and it could have started growing and working for you. He brings up a really good point about debt because you are paying for that twice. You are paying that debt off, plus any interest that you are paying toward that debt. And that money could have been in savings or investments, which would have made him more money. So it is awesome to see that he realized the power of getting that debt paid off as quickly as possible, and then continuing to stay out of debt. And if you do need help getting your debt paid off, I do have another video about that. I'll leave a link above and below. You can check that out later on. The third step that he took was to calculate his FIRE number. Financial Independence, Retire Early. And I've talked a little bit about this on my channel before, but if you do want more information about what the FIRE movement is, I do have a video about that. I'll leave a link above and below. But he used the 4% rule to calculate his FIRE number, which essentially means that he took his annual expenses and he multiplied that number by 25. And then that amount is the amount he needed to have invested in order to retire. And he used software in order to track his spending. And that way he could calculate his FIRE number and then determine when he would be able to retire. Now he knew what he wanted to work toward. He had his FIRE number. So the fourth thing that he did was cut back on his expenses. Since he had that goal that he was working toward, that FIRE number, he started to save more money. And one of the ways that he did this, and this is always impressive to me, he actually downsized from his 2,400 square foot home. He said there were rooms that they rarely used, but he was stuck with paying for them in a mortgage payment, plus all of the maintenance, repairs, and cleaning. So they decided to rent instead of own their own home, which gave them flexibility, which is pretty impressive. Not everyone is willing to just sell their home or get up and move somewhere pretty far away. And I'm curious to know, comment below and tell me if you would be willing to move somewhere else in order to reduce your housing costs. I am sure by not having that large mortgage payment, they were able to save a significant amount of money because that is a huge expense that they reduced. If you really want to cut back on your expenses so that you can achieve financial freedom sooner or retire even earlier, then make sure you are focusing on those largest expenses: your housing, your transportation, and your food. The fifth step that he took was to increase his income by getting raises. And I think this is really cool because a lot of times we do start side hustles or start our own businesses, but honestly, we can keep it very simple and really focus on our main source of income and increase that. That's exactly what he did. And he said, I think a lot of us have a fear of doing this, including me at first. But within the last few years before I left my job, I started doing that once or twice a year. So he was actually asking for those raises, which a lot of times if we aren't asking, then we aren't getting those raises. And this allowed him to save more and invest more. Comment below and tell me if you have asked for a raise before or if you are going to ask for a raise now. Step number 6 that Jim took to become a millionaire and retire early at the age of 43 was to pay himself first and schedule automatic payments. With this strategy, money is automatically saved before it can be spent. He said, every payday, money automatically went into my 401k, the same for my wife, as well as a health savings account. And he also saved outside of those accounts. He said a day or two after payday, money automatically moved out of my checking and into a savings account. And more money was moved to a brokerage account where it was automatically invested. And that is really powerful. If you are paying yourself first, then you aren't worrying at the end of the month if you're going to have enough money to pay your bills, let alone enough money to save or invest. You really do want to be paying yourself first and then automating as much as possible. He also said that not only did it mean saving more time, but it also allowed him to save more consistently. By saving consistently, increasing his income, and saving more, he was able to reach his $1 million net worth goal, which is completely amazing because these 6 steps are very, very simple. They are not complicated at all. It really goes to show if you are really focused on a certain goal, then you can set up these very simple steps to achieve that goal. I would definitely check out his blog, roottoretire.com, because you can learn more about him and his path to early retirement and becoming a millionaire. And if you found this video helpful, please hit that like button and share it with someone else who would like to hear this information. And hit the subscribe button to subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit the little bell to get notified on when I post new videos. And if you want to see even more content from me, check out the videos on the side of the screen. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video.